house.
Up in this
I
house.
think house was the first word that made it into the recording. So Lamarr and I were having a deep discussion about the show House.
Yes, it's a fascinating show about a 2-bedroom house that is struggling to decide whether it wants to have a den or not. And I think the conflict between the bathroom and the second bedroom particularly makes for a climactic show. Actually,
I think the bathroom's on drugs.
absolutely.
I mean, look at its medicine cabinet.
Yeah, it's completely flushed.
Yeah. Do you know you don't have to always keep a person who has a concussion awake? I just learned that today.
Really?
Yeah, they've discovered that in most cases, you should always consult a doctor, of course, but in most cases, it's not necessary, like you see in the movies, like don't fall asleep.
That's interesting. So the person in my closet is tied up. I'll make sure they get some rest.
Yeah, let them have a nap.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Go ahead and sleep.
And he's just joking, investigator. All right. Let's see. Am I recording this? Yes, I am. Good.
All right.
You ready?
I am. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
This is Siri. The Daily Tech News Show by Tom Merritt is brought to you by all of the supporters at Patreon. If you also want to support Tom, go to patreon.com/acedetect. That is patreon.com/ACEDTECT. And thanks as always for listening to the Daily Tech News Show.
This is the Daily Tech News Show for Monday, June 23rd, 2014. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Lamarr Wilson, host of Mashable's YouTube Weekly and Socially Awkward. That is the show, not Lamarr. Lamarr is a gentleman and a prince among men.
Wow, what an opening. I mean, it's all true. So
yeah,
you are a man of truth.
And I don't take advertisements unless
don't.
Lamarr pays me really well, which he didn't.
I'm doing well these days. I'm just holding out from you.
Yeah. No, man, it's good to have you along. We got some good headlines. And we're experiencing what I call the tsunami effect before large announcements. Happens before WWDC, happens before Google I/O, which is on Wednesday, where like when a tsunami's coming, the water all gets sucked out of the harbor.
Oh yeah.
That's
the news today.
Yeah, it's getting sucked out of the harbor. But the harbor's not empty. Just to be clear.
Okay.
So we do have a little water in the harbor called the headlines. Windbader reports the Microsoft Store is offering up to $650 in store credit when you trade in select MacBook Air models, as long as you use the credit to buy a Surface Pro 3. Also, the MacBook Air must be able to turn on. You can't just bring in the one you dropped off at the top of a skyscraper. And it shouldn't have water damage or anything like that. It's sensible stuff, though.
Yeah. I mean, I see what they're doing. I like the concept. I mean, they want you to get away from Apple. However, I priced what my MacBook Air is, and I have the 512 i7, and that's not a cheap one. It's about $1,700, and I just recently got it in there. But see, the Surface that I want to get is $1,949. I want the best one if I'm gonna get a Surface.
Yeah.
So
and it's pricey up there.
Yeah, $650 is not gonna do too much for me at that point. But it's a nice offer. It's generous to a point. If you want to get the entry-level model, it's not a bad deal, I guess.
Yeah, I've got a really old MacBook Air, and part of me was like, $650. That might be more than I would make on Gazelle or on Craigslist or something like that. So maybe if I wanted one, I would do that. TechCrunch reports Microsoft has doubled and rounded up the amount of free storage they offer through Microsoft OneDrive cloud storage accounts from 7 gigabytes to 15. And that shoots up to a terabyte if you're an Office 365 customer, which ends up being about $7 a month. If you pay $10 a month for the 5-user Office 365 account, you're getting a terabyte for every single one of those users. Additional plans drop to $1.99 a month for 100 gigabytes or $4 a month for 200 gigabytes. These are pretty damn cheap prices, and a good way to kind of nudge people into getting Office 365, I would think.
No, absolutely. I don't think it was Amazon that pushed this. I think this was more Google Drive when they went crazy. Like, what is it, $10 for a terabyte? And they just got those dirt cheap prices now. So I'm glad Microsoft, kind of jumped in this war and made it a little bit more affordable. And maybe it'll make Apple make theirs even more affordable. They did just recently drop, but they still have a little bit of ways to go.
Price wars, man. It's helping us.
I love it.
Google subsidiary Nest Labs is using its own money that it got through mowing lawns or something to go out and get itself something nice. Dropcam, the makers of devices that know whether your house is the right temperature or burning down, can now know whether your pets are roaming around or you're being burglarized. Nest says Dropcam will fall under Nest's privacy policy, not Google's, which doesn't share data with any company, including its parent company, Google, without the user's permission. We're going to talk quite a bit more about that in a little bit.
Yep.
The next web reports Google Glass is finally leaving its home market, now available in the UK for £1,000 in the Google Play Store. Google's also selling the frames from its Titanium collection as an optional add-on in that store. Back in the United States, new frames designed by Diane von Furstenberg have gone on sale. The bundle of glass plus shades plus Furstenberg frames runs you $1,800.
I'm a little disappointed in this. I was hoping once they push them out to market, they would have half the price. Like us, the ones who got it first would be the ones who take the hit, and then the consumers would benefit. I'm not liking what I'm seeing here with them keeping the price around the same. Isn't this almost equivalent to $1,500 on the US? The £1,000? It's close to
These
it.
are Diane von Furstenberg frames, which doesn't really mean much to me, but apparently means a lot to a lot of people. And they are very nice. I'm not saying they're not. I wouldn't bet against a price drop announced at Google I/O later this week for the non-Furstenberg frames.
Okay. That would be nice. That would be a nice start.
We'll see. Recode reports a startup called Cruise will start taking pre-orders Monday for an aftermarket car kit. It doesn't do stereos. This isn't going to put a spoiler. It's going to convert your late model Audi to a self-driving car. At least it'll self-drive around the San Francisco Bay Area highways. The kits cost you $10,000 and installation begins in 2015.
There must be a lot of Audis in San Francisco. I don't know anyone who drives one.
I see them. My wife really wants one. She's the big fan, and because of that, we see them all over the place. But yeah, and the aftermarket kits will be available for other brands of cars. That's just the first one that they're offering. They also will do more than just drive the highways in the Bay Area eventually. This is just kind of the very earliest of the first steps. But it's kind of interesting to think oh, wow, next year, some people will have partially self-driving cars.
And $10,000 is not a bad price for what it's offering. It's not.
You can already afford an Audi. $10,000's nothing.
It's not. Yeah, pennies.
Time for some news from you. Metal Freak posted the top story on our subreddit. Our subreddit is dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. There's 2,700 people in there voting on stories, submitting stories, voting stories up and down. If you haven't got in there and had an effect on the stories that we talk about on Daily Tech News Show, go on in there and get started. dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Metal Freak sent us this Ars Technica story about the risks of AT&T and Comcast's free Wi-Fi hotspots. Darren Kitchen has pointed this out before as well. Your phones are set up to connect by default to AT&T Wi-Fi, and often just by connecting once, all your devices may be set up to connect automatically to AT&T Wi-Fi or maybe Xfinity Wi-Fi as the SSID. Malicious operators, therefore, could set up devices that broadcast that SSID, capture the login and password info, and then direct the device to the internet so that you would never even know you've been compromised. The problem is you're logging in. You're giving your account info and your password. So it's best not to automatically connect to those kinds of hotspots, or if you're an AT&T phone owner particularly, disable that setting in your phone that automatically connects to the AT&T Wi-Fi hotspot without alerting you first.
Yeah, dude, so I read through this, and the people are smart people, and so are their commenters. No one really has a solution for this. This isn't as easy as using a VPN or whatever. I mean, you have to trust that wherever you are, wherever that store is, whatever, has legit AT&T Wi-Fi, especially if anybody can spoof this. There doesn't seem to be a solution other than don't get on any free Wi-Fi's out there.
Well, first, you definitely have that thing alert you first, so it doesn't connect automatically without you knowing it. That's the first step. And then the second step is if you're in the coffee shop and it says, we have AT&T Wi-Fi, and you see two AT&T Wi-Fis, don't connect to either one of them. And let folks know, hey, somebody's spoofing you here. If you only see one and you're in the shop, it's probably safe. But, again, good to take precautions like HTTPS everywhere, using VPNs on open Wi-Fi hotspots, all of that kind of stuff. And it's really problematic as far as your account information. Be careful what you connect to.
Yeah, I mean, most of the apps that you're going to use are now HTTPS? You know, they're secure. Your Facebook has security, so no one can really spoof those. But that's not the problem. This is getting into your AT&T account or getting into your Xfinity account. Once you log in, they have your account information before you can stop anything, and so they can go in and get your customer data, play like they're you, and then take your identity potentially. So there's definitely some danger here. So please stay off free Wi-Fi until you're...
Be careful. Absolutely. The second most popular story, also from Metal Freak and Ars Technica, provides an alternative to what Comcast and AT&T are doing. Members of the Open Wireless movement, which include the Electronic Frontier Foundation, Free Press, Mozilla, and Fight for the Future, are aiming to get Wi-Fi router owners to open up their own hotspots through openwireless.org. One project, for example, is an open-source router firmware called Open Wireless Router that lets you safely portion off part of your router to anyone nearby, password-free. So that gets around the whole, like, I got to share some kind of login password. The software prioritizes owner's own traffic, walls off guests from snooping, and the group hopes that widespread adoption would lead to stronger security practices in general, like HTTPS everywhere, for example, and defeat the notion that an IP address is equivalent to a person.
Yeah, I really like this idea. I have a guest account on my Wi-Fi as well. When friends come over, they can just log in pretty easily. Obviously, the main problem with this, and I did read it in the article, is that if you have a neighbor who's getting in your free Wi-Fi, if they happen to go on some sites they're not supposed to, or look at some child pornography or something like that, it's still tied to your account, and your door will be broken down, not necessarily theirs, and you have to explain that you have a free Wi-Fi, and it just becomes a mess. So I'm not sure how they will solve that problem, but this is very promising. Just about, it's almost that policy. Have the doors open, get it out there, so there's no one trying to hack in necessarily because the doors are already open. Just make it safe.
Yeah, well, the EFF is trying to help fight the battle that an IP address is not a person. There have been a few judges recognize that in their decisions already, so that they're making some progress there. And the idea here is, if openwireless.org doesn't require a password, as long as you're practicing good security with a VPN and HTTPS everywhere and all that sort of things, it's no different for you on the connecting end as going out on the open internet. For the person running the router, you do have to trust that this firewall software is secured properly, and so that's something you need to vet if you're going to run it on your own router. But there are definitely ways to do that, so it's an interesting project for sure.
Yeah.
Finally, Captain Kipper points out the Verge article that security researcher Robert David Graham found at least 309,197 servers still vulnerable to the Heartbleed exploit. Graham found more than 600,000 vulnerable servers immediately after Heartbleed was discovered. That dropped pretty quickly down to 318,239 within a month. However, in the past month, it's been 2 months now, only 9,042 more servers were patched. So it looks like we're hitting that area where people just don't want to bother. Out in the dark corners of the internet, be careful what sites you're connecting to and logging into, for sure.
Yeah. I think that some of the comments were like, this is so overblown. This is just a small percentage of the internet.
Very small.
But still.
It's just another reminder, to me, it's just another reminder that, hey, not every site out there is trustworthy. That was true before Heartbleed. It's still true today. So,
yes, sir.
Again, be careful what sites you connect to. It's the refrain of the day, I guess.
That's right.
That's a look at the headlines. Hey, the new Amazon Kindle single for tech history for July is out. Just hit the Amazon store this morning. Scott Johnson illustrates these. I take a few items of tech history for each day of the month and put them in there. We wrap it all up for 99 cents in a Kindle single. We're putting out one a month. We've been doing it since November, so we're getting close to having all the months. If you want to start collecting them, go check it out at tommerrittbooks.com, or you can get it at Amazon as well. They're nice illustrations from Scott, too. He does a great job with those things.
It looks awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man. All right. Let's talk about Google getting even more data about us. Nest Labs, Dropcam, cameras in my house. Now Google can watch me. That's what everyone's reaction to this is.
Yeah.
The reality is probably a little more nuanced, right?
Yeah, I think so. And first Google says that Nest policy make sure they don't share data. I don't buy that. I think if they spent that much money, they can access Nest whenever they want to. I mean, behind the
Well,
scenes.
here's the thing, right? Let me address that right away.
Right.
Nest Labs is still a company with a CEO with its own system separate from Google. It's the way Motorola was before Google sold Motorola.
Right.
It's not like YouTube, which is a division of Google. So Nest can operate much more independently of Google. So when Matt Rogers, the founder, goes on and says data won't be shared with anyone, including Google, without a customer's permission, I'm 97% certain he means it. What you're pointing out, Lamarr, very correctly is Google does own Nest. So at any point, they can replace the CEO. They could change the policy. They could change their minds about that.
Right. And I think that's where the worry immediately came in on, people were panicking about oh no, Google's going to see me naked. They're going to see what I'm doing in my house. They're going to inventory my house and give me ads on what I need. I need a new printer, and they see mine is broken. It's just it's just really silly. So I did a video about it yesterday, and it was very silly, but I mentioned Google, they own my email, they own my contacts, they own everything, and then I started to realize, well, if I switched over to Microsoft, I have a Connect sitting right in my house that's been looking at me all this time. It's like it's a little silly to get all alarmist when we want to jump to another company, realizing they kind of do the same thing.
Well, yeah. Let's think about it. So I've got now. Not everybody's going to have all these gadgets. It's an occupational hazard for us. But Sony PS4 camera, because I bought the camera. Connect,
Okay.
as you just pointed out, camera. iPhone, laptop from MacBook Pro, camera. Microsoft on my laptop, my Surface, and my Xbox, camera. Amazon on my Kindle Fire, camera.
Yep.
There's only one company that I have not allowed to actually have directly put a camera in my house, and that's Facebook.
Yes. But when you think about it, what about your iPhone? That's the camera. What about the tablet?
I mean, if I put Facebook on any of those devices, then Facebook has a camera. Yeah.
So yeah, but you're right. Facebook technically is the only one. We're not. I don't know why the alarms rang as big as they did.
You know why? Because it's Dropcam. And first of all, people, you shouldn't be walking around naked in front of your Dropcam anyway. That's not what it's for. Well, unless that's what it's for. But you have control of where that thing is pointed to, and it does store your video in the cloud. Even if you don't pay for the service, it streams that video to the cloud. So it's not like that video was entirely inaccessible in theory anyway. Your Dropcam should be pointed towards what you're trying to spy on or protect or whatever.
Yeah, don't point it towards your bed, because
unless that's your Jenny Cam thing, if you're like 1998 all over again, but
or no, good. You don't want a Lamarr Cam at all. It's not exciting.
I'm just, I think I guess the question is there any room for concern? Tony Fadell says, look, we're not going to sell ads against this stuff. That is not how we do things. It's very interesting to think, in fact, that Tony Fadell is the guy who created the iPod, right? Don't forget that. He is now running hardware for Google. The information is reporting that Sundar Pichai pretty much dismantled all the hardware projects that the Android team was working on. Android is now purely a software play, and hardware has been handed over to Nest Labs, and this is their first acquisition.
Okay.
So I think that's more fascinating to me than any potential privacy implications, because the privacy implications are always going to be there, no matter what company you're talking about here. I think it is interesting to think of Google sort of creating its own little semi-independent hardware company.
Okay. And so, just to theorize, is what is Google's interest besides a hardware company in a Dropcam? Like what would they benefit from by having it just being able to offer another service in their repertoire of things they offer?
I think the learning that they get from a Nest Labs, whether it's Dropcam or the thermostat, or the fire protection, is how good home automation works, and we're going to hear about that at Google I/O for sure. Every one of these companies wants to be the one that controls your smart home, and Google has a nice leg up by having a company in-house that makes really good, well liked smart home devices, and Dropcam's one of those. Dropcam's great.
Yeah, it makes sense because I was looking at some of my comments, and I was asking people, are you afraid that everything's under one company? And a lot of people say, it makes sense to have it under one company because then there's some continuity, and you don't have to hack around to make things work. I think Apple is trying to do it differently. If we listen correctly, what they were saying, they're making the software, but letting the hardware manufacturers kind of do what they want.
You know what? Now
Yeah.
that you point that out, it's kind of weird. Apple's being very un-Apple and saying, we'll
Yes.
just make the platform, you guys bring the devices.
That's Google.
Which is the opposite of, which is what Google does with Android, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's interesting. Real quickly, I want to get to the San Francisco story about City Attorney Dennis Herrera, who's told 3 startups that they can't charge people for public parking spots. He sent a cease and desist to a company called Monkey Parking, which had an app that let people bid on parking spots. If you're about to leave your parking spot, you could put it available and have bidders try to buy your spot, and you would wait to leave your parking spot until the top bidder showed up. Similar apps called Sweech and Parkmondo are going to get cease and desist letters as well. Sweech just charges a flat fee, $5, to sell the parking spot you're leaving. Parkmondo actually hires drivers to go occupy free parking spaces, and then you pay them to leave. The city of San Francisco says, no, you cannot do that. You cannot rent out public spaces. They belong to the city. Only we get to charge if we charge at all.
At what point did I got a headache with this one. At what point did the investors of this startup think this was okay? This is going to revolutionize parking in San Francisco. This is completely illegal. It is actually written in the bylaws that you can't do this.
Yeah.
And then what you do, you set up a precedent of people driving, bidding on something while they're driving, which is not safe to begin with.
Now, the monkey parking folks were like, hey, now, you can regulate us, but just banning us, that's bad for innovation. And I'm usually on board with that argument with almost everything, but in this particular case, it's a public space. You don't get to dominate it from other people and charge for that. I just don't. Maybe I'm missing something, libertarians, but that one is a line too far. Like, it's one thing to have a social app that says I'm leaving a space now. There's no charge involved, but I could have an app that lets me know, oh, that person is leaving their space. Kind of a Waze thing for parking. That would be really cool. But as soon as you're like, nope, I'm not leaving the space, or the worst one is the one who hires people to just sit in spaces and occupy them.
That's terrible. That's terrible. This reminds me. It had nothing to do with the app or technology, but in Chicago, at least under the old mayor, it was a kind of a law. I mean, like police didn't say anything about it, but in the dead of winter, if you've shoveled out your own space, you were allowed to put some furniture there to hold it for the day. Like the police didn't make a big deal out of it. Maybe they got the idea from that concept. I thought that was always stupid.
That is, well, shoveling out your space, you've put a little effort into it. You've made that space your own in a way. I could sort of see that.
Maybe for a day or two, but some people kept it the whole winter.
No, that's not okay. Unless you put up, I don't know, a net or something to stop the snow from going in. But yeah. And like Chicago, Manhattan, San Francisco has way more cars than they have parking spots.
Absolutely.
In the, at least in the main area, the 7x7 square that is San Francisco. So I get why this is an opportunity, but I don't know that that I'm okay with this one. But if you disagree, if you're like, no, there's a perfectly responsible way to do this, let us know. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. Today is the start of CE Week, the consumer electronics industry's annual mid-year check-in in New York City. The exhibits and conference program, better known as The Place with All the Shiny Things to Covet, begins Wednesday, June 25th. We'll have a preview on tomorrow's show, and if you want more, check out ceweekny.com. Also on go ahead, Lamar. Were you gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say I wish I had known about this because I've been trying to find an excuse to go to New York. I would have loved to go to this.
Well, you can still get out there. Ticket probably is only $5,000 at this point.
Hey, let's talk about some Patreon money after this.
Yeah,
all right.
A Patreon for me to fly to New York tomorrow. Maybe that'll work. Who knows? Tuesday, June 24th, put the pedal to the metal. Get ready for Velocity, a site optimization conference in Santa Clara, California, home of the San Francisco 49ers. Our pick of the day is Lightbot. Comes from Matt in Vegas, who says what he calls a teaching kids to code game. Hey DTNS, I love the show, listen daily. I found this over the weekend and loved it. My 7-year-old is completely hooked, and for once I don't care that she's taken my tablet over. It's a game that is teaching her programming called Lightbot. It's on iOS and Android and is just awesome. I know there are a number of games in this category and they're all fantastic. Just thought I would share this one that I ran across. You can find it in the Google Play Store. Just search for Lightbot. And we've been talking about a lot of efforts to teach folks to code, so good to hear about another one. Thanks for that, Matt. You can get all our picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. All right, Lamarr, let's finish up with some feedback.
All right.
Did you hear the Friday show about drones? Darren and I talk about drones a lot, but
Yeah, I wasn't able to finish it, but I did get the gist of it.
so the National Park Service, for those who didn't hear it, is banning drones. They're saying all the parks have to write it into their laws, no drones allowed in the parks. And we were talking about, well, okay, we get why they don't want too many drones in the parks. We get the impulse to just say, forget it, no drones at all is easiest. But there are really good arguments that Darren made for why you would want drones in parks. And we got a few more of those from people as well. Peter Weiss writes, my family are big fans of the national parks, visiting many over the past 2 summers and planning to do the same this summer. It is pretty disturbing that they can choose to ban drones while they still allow smoking, an activity which clearly impacts other people's enjoyment and can and probably has caused destruction of huge amounts of park property. I swear I've been in a national park where they like no smoking.
Yeah, I don't remember. I was just at Yosemite a couple months ago. I don't. That was definitely not allowed there.
Yeah, so I guess it depends on the park. Maybe some parks allow it still, or maybe they allow it like in the visitor area. They put a smoking area. Of course, it plays into the whole like persecution of addicted smokers situation. But yeah, in a place like Yosemite or Joshua Tree or any of the desert parks that are like susceptible to fire,
Right.
any of the forest parks, I would say no smoking. Shouldn't be, man. Yeah. But I guess Peter's wider point is there are other things allowed. I'll go with him this far. There are other things allowed in parks, national parks, to happen that can infringe on your enjoyment besides just drones.
Yes.
Scott Lesbeck says, it seems like this would be the perfect time to implement a permit system to allow restricted drone use in the parks. This would allow those interested enough in the activity to have a course to pursue that option while providing oversight and a definite rule to be used against those who cause problems. Some general rules like those you listed, stay away from animals, people who have not given permission, special areas, etc., could form the basis of the permit. List ahead of time the people involved, climbers, for example, with the activity to be recorded. The hurdle imposed by permit would limit the casual pilot from taking to the air without purpose. These are probably the most likely to become a nuisance. You can get your drone pilot training somewhere outside the park. In the park, you must fly with an approved purpose. Approval would be the difficult part at this point. What is approved and who has discretion to approve something not specifically listed? But these issues could be worked out over time. Additionally, FAA licensing procedures might be helpful, or the National Park Service could implement some sort of training course for those wanting to fly within park boundaries that would spell out what is allowed or disallowed and address questions. At the very least, the permit process would be a great way to collect data on what people seem to be interested in doing with drones in the parks, what drone models they are flying, and could provide interesting data to the FAA. That's really smart, Scott.
That's
like
very
Scott,
smart.
he like basically laid out the permit system for the MPS. Like, here, just take this.
This show is amazing. It creates and innovates all the time.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff.
Seriously,
And
this is good.
we got, we didn't get any emails, I don't think, particularly about this, but I got a lot of people on Twitter saying, hey, man, I don't want a bunch of drones ruining my time at the National Park Service, so I want to represent that side of it. And I get that, right? I mean, Lamarr, you don't want to go to the National Park and be like, I'm in the peaceful world of nature, and then, 20 quadcopters just settle in over the meadow.
Nope, it felt like I'm just downtown where I live, so I would not like that at all.
But I think Scott laid out what is acceptable here. Like, you have to have permits to camp in certain areas. You have to have permit to motorbike in certain parts of certain national parks. So, maybe the National Park Service is like, let's just reset this whole conversation and start at 0, and then we can start making exceptions. But I hope they do.
Yeah, getting the FAA involved is interesting. I hope, as long as they don't regulate it too hard, I think it'll be helpful.
If the FAA was on top of its game regarding drones already, or quadcopters already, I'd be more behind that. They are a little behind. They are dragging their feet a little, and they want to get it right, so I give them that much too.
All right.
Well, thanks, folks, for writing in. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com if you've got more thoughts. And thank you, Lamarr Wilson. Absolute pleasure, as always, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Twitter.com/Lamarr Wilson. There are 2 R's in Lamarr and 1 of every other letter. Well, there's 2 A's, but they're separated by an N.
You just messed up the whole thing.
Keep those A's apart. That's the N's job. Twitter.com/Lamarr Wilson and LamarrWilson.com as well. Like you said, you had the latest episode up, your latest YouTube video talking about the Dropcam acquisition. Anything else coming up?
Today I'm going to talk about the Kobe Bryant and the iWatch and why those two go together. It'll be a little. I'm writing it now. Well, I was writing it before the show. It'll be a little fun piece. And then I'm going to cover Google I was supposed to be there. Had to back out. It was just a little bit too expensive. But I'll be talking about that on Wednesday, as I'm sure you will be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so look forward to that. I'll be doing videos all week on something cool in lifestyle tech.
Excellent. Check it out,
Right.
LamarrWilson.com. Also, thank you to our patrons, 4,147. The number just keeps getting bigger, and we can't express how much we appreciate you showing faith in the show. Of course, Patreon just got a round of venture capital funding. I don't know if you saw that this morning.
I did. Yeah.
I had an interesting conversation with Jack Conte over the weekend about why they're doing that, what systems they're putting in place to make sure that just helps everybody continue to make good use of Patreon. So I feel pretty good about it. But check it out, patreon.com/acedetect. It does help keep the show on the air, and we appreciate that so many of you are able to give back a little of the value in that way that we hope you get from the show. bit.ly/helpdtns.
I'm a patron. Make
Thank
sure
you,
do it.
Lamarr.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Don't forget, you can have a voice in what stories we cover at our website subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. You can email us feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. Give us a call, 512-59-DAILY. That's 512-593-2459. Or you can just send us an MP3 attachment and listen to the show live at mobile.alphageekradio.com, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. Our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. Tomorrow's guest, Jeremy Kaplan, joins us to talk about consumer electronics from CE Week in New York. Talk to you then.
About this and other shows, visit frogpants.com. Audio program so good, it's like you're there.
Okay, we're going to give this a try.
Jenny's going to try out a new mic.
Everybody, tell me how awful it is. What do you
Get
hear?
on the mic.
It's the worst.
I mean, is it just like too live?
Wait, are you on the mic?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, well, it sounds pretty good.
Am I more on the mic now?
Tap it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you
Oh,
hear
yeah,
that?
you're totally on the
All right,
mic.
great. Because I have both doors open in the office as to create a breeze, and I was wondering if you were just hearing like every sound in my neighborhood.
Not at all, actually.
Cool.
That's working really well.
Rock on.
I didn't realize you'd actually switched to it already. That's
I think
how
I
good it was.
did.
Nice.
Well,
And
I'll
we
be
didn't- We didn't hear my air conditioner at all, which is great. At least I hope not. I'll listen to it later.
That was a great show, by the way.
I know.
Thank you.
For a day with no news.
Oh, I mean, thank you. Sorry. I gotta remember to be humble sometimes.
Lamar.
Like,
You know,
yeah,
it's just confidence. That's all. You know, what are you going to do?
like,
Yeah.
yeah, of course I do a good show. Come on.
I'm Lamarr Wilson.
Yes. You like no views on YouTube. Of course I'm great.
Yeah. You got lots of views on YouTube. What are you talking about?
Actually, yesterday's video did better than I expected.
That was good. That was funny.
Yeah. I wanted it. I don't want it because I know the way I was going. People are like, "Oh, he's just gonna slam Google." I was like, "No." At the end, it was like the big reveal.
No, I liked that. I totally caught on when you started. I'm like, wait a minute. Those are all Microsoft products. I think I know where he's going with this. So it was good. And that gave me the idea for that comment, actually. Like, you inspired me to think, like, actually, how many cameras do I have? Like, how many companies have a camera in my house right now?
It's a little scary when you did that. I started thinking too. It's like, counting the phone, which who said? I mean, you watch enough 24 or some of these other shows. Who's to say these cameras cannot be turned on? I mean,
They're listening to me right now.
Right now.
Also because I'm streaming live over the internet, but still.
Well, if they see me walking around my house with no clothes on, I would think they would evacuate ship. They would just like, you know what? We got other people we could look at, for God's sake.
Like, whoa.
Just
Tom Merritt, no, thank you. That's the way to keep the NSA off your back.
There you go. Just get naked.
Yeah, I would do that from now on.
Wow, I hear a really loud noise.
Now, I did hear that. Was that an airplane?
No, it was a garbage truck.
Oh, okay.
You might confuse them. But yeah, that's the problem. It definitely does pick up, like...
It wasn't horrible, though. It sounded like off in the distance. That's why I thought it was an airplane, I guess.
Yeah. There was one story that didn't get sent to you, and I'm surprised. It was from Friday. I don't know if you covered it. It was about Chicago on a light post. They're gonna start putting up these sensors where they will detect. It mentions here it is: air quality, light intensity, sound volume, heat, precipitation, and wind. They will also count people by observing cell phone traffic, and it made me think of Watch Dogs starting already, because like I played that game, and it's like, well, you know, they're kind of starting the whole system there by putting these sensors in.
I did see that on Friday, and that's what Light Beacon does for Apple, and there's a bunch of other programs that do that in malls, particularly, where they just they look for the people's pinging cell phones, and they sort of collect data passively that way.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, when it gets all Minority Report and identifies your IMEI and says, "Oh, hello, Mr. Wilson. We know you've been shopping for diamonds. We have a sale."
Yeah, no, I can't afford any diamonds. They better have a big sale.
A bake sale.
90% off.
I know you love diamonds.
Oh,
Lamarr.
Lamarr.
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, sorry to interrupt. So, will you just email me your username for the chat room? And so I can talk to the people who can help fix it, so that next time you get in the chat room. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, it was just a username. I didn't actually create a password or anything.
Oh, so it
was just a guest. I just logged in as a regular guest.
Oh, interesting. So you just clicked like join and had like C killer blah blah blah.
No, I typed in Lamarr Wilson there.
Oh, okay. So this is just all you have to do is do. I think you don't have a registered nick.
I don't have it registered with not
okay.
with this.
So try, if you have the time, the next time if you want. Just go in as Cord Killer whoever and click, and it still didn't let you in, just by being a regular random.
Right. It's banned my IP because I logged in twice really quick. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just by being a rando.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's weird.
I'll be Randy.
That's what the YouTube space people call folks that they are not familiar with.
Randos?
Rando.
Wow, I'm glad I know that. That's offensive. Hey, make sure you come to that. I'm definitely going to come to that thing next Monday. Make sure you show up.
All right, I'll try to show up for that.
Yeah.
What time is it?
Oh,
I
think it's like 7 to 11.
Yeah,
7 to 11, something like that. Nice post party. I went last year. It was nice.
I'll be one of the randos.
Exactly.
Rando detect.
Rando detect.
Yeah. Eileen's she's always nice, and also, you know, I know she's dead tired by that time.
They're nice to the rando.
I'm like, how are you still here and you've been working all day?
Well, she's really nice. Yeah, she's really nice to you guys. She just takes it out on us when she gets home.
Poor dogs or poor you?
Does somebody
Get
need
me
a
my
title?
bourbon. I'm sorry. What were you going to say, Jenny?
Nothing. Do you need a title?
Yes, I do.
Give me my bourbon. That's it.
The one I did like from before is Google Wants to See Me Naked, which someone pointed out has great SEO.
That's a great title.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't get us banned.
Well,
no, I should have used it in my YouTube video, but I was trying to play it safe. I was like,
Maybe Google does not want to see you naked.
Oh, I see. Libel and all that. I buy that.
Yep.
Because that was basically what we were saying too. Is like, don't turn that camera at you.
Yeah.
Right.
Google does not want to see your bits.
Did you come up with that?
I just did.
Nice. Does not want to see your bits. That's perfect because
There
it
you
actually
go.
like bridges
Double
the.
meaning.
Yeah.
You
Boom.
people.
Mic drop out.
Nicely done.
So check this out. If I'm gonna be on at 4, I need to like get my video out. Like,
Yeah.
in the next
Yeah. No, if you need to go, that's cool.
So yeah, let me do that, and then I'll see you for Cord Killers. Yeah, Jenny, always good seeing you.
Yeah.
I will take you up on your offer.
Yeah.
With your husband soon.
Yeah.
Now, actually, I probably should clarify what we. Well, okay.
Lamarr wants to see some bits.
Whoa, I'm gonna get out of here before. Okay.
Yes, please. Sometime we would love.
We're talking
to hang
about
out.
pizza. That's all. We're talking
Yeah,
about people.
Pizza. Since you and I are on the approximate same side of the Great Los Angeles Divide,
We're not that far apart.
we're not that far apart.
Tom is the one. Oh,
Or we could go to Pie Hole, which is close to you. Have you been to Pie Hole?
Tom invites me. Like, he invites me in his house almost every other day. It's so hard to get over there.
You have to go over the 405. You have to climb over it. It's like a mountain.
I have not been to Pie Hole. What is that?
Oh my gosh! So in the
you
art,
gotta
you have
go
to
to Pie
go,
Hole.
but in the arts district, right across from a place called Schloss-Kirsch, which is a sausage place, which is delicious also. There is this amazing pie store called Pie Hole, and they have this custard pie. They have a thing called Earl Grey pie, which somehow comes out tasting like Trix. It's amazing.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh, they have a Vimeo video right on their site. Okay, I will be checking
Bye.
this. Okay, I gotta get out of here. All right.
Don't go to the pie hole yet.
Don't go yet. Oh, he's gone.
Oh, too late. He's at the pie hole already. All right. Well, now
What's
Lamar's
up?
gone.
Now Lamar's gone.
What do we do?
I don't know. Oh, you want to hear something funny? So in my
Yes.
most recent DTNS update, the
Yes.
third, I left out a whole paragraph.
Oh, I didn't notice.
I know, it worked, but there was like this whole extra paragraph that actually made the thought between thought 2 and thought 4 make sense. It was thought
okay.
3. But oh well, it doesn't matter.
I just took it as a sort of a
But
whatchamacallit, page
Yeah.
2.
yeah, but it was just one of those things that was like, I would never write that hard a segue. Like, it
You would not normally Paul Harvey it.
No, I would not like just make a complete 180 to like back to the topic.
But it just felt like a pause
felt like
and
a
then
pause.
new thought. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it was
it was
fine.
a really elegantly written transition that somehow.
Oh, that's too bad.
Right, and it was about to do with Middle Earth, so
Ah.
shame on me. I read it to Matt. But like, I was not going to be the person that was going to redo the DTNS update. I drew the line.
You were not going to be what?
I was not going to be the person that was like, I need to redo my update.
You need to pull it down.
Yeah, no.
This is unacceptable.
If nobody noticed, if it made sense, then
Yeah, I guess if it was like, oh, that sounded a little weird. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's replace it.
Yeah.
It would have been fine. People would have
yeah.
been cool with
It's not. I have to start doing those like on Friday because I wake up at 6 a.m. on Sunday like I didn't do it.
it. Who was the person who said that they sounded to them like you were you had caught them doing something wrong?
Yeah.
That was
There was a
hilarious.
guy because I was like, "Hi."
Hello. Did you take the cookies?
Yes. I'm just totally like because I always am like, I guess it does feel like someone who stole the cookies when the producer starts recording little audio things.
I guess I could see that.
Like, who left this microphone here? Hello.
It's time for us to talk about what you've done, audience.
Yeah. Now, patrons.
We know you didn't mean anything.
Everybody go to a different corner.
But it's nap time. It's got a Sunday morning feel.
Yeah, that's why I keep actually doing it on Sunday morning. I just have to actually write it. I wrote the first one on a Friday, which was great because then I just rolled in and did
Yeah.
like an hour's worth of work on Sunday. But I also feel bad making you upload it on Sunday.
So far, it has never been a problem. Even
Yeah.
when I was out of town, it was at a time where I was like, oh, I can do that. This week, I actually was on my iPad and I hadn't got up and started using my laptop yet. And I was like, well, let me see how hard it is. It's definitely harder, but I
Yeah.
could still do it on my iPad. So
All
it's
right.
pretty easy.
Well, if you don't mind, then I don't mind. I do like the sort of Sunday morning, like, hi, I'm not really awake feel, because then I don't have to do any further production.
Yeah, it's built in.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if this worked. Like you said. See, that's the part where Alpha Geek Radio hears it. Nobody else does.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jenny thinks I'm talking to myself. Sometimes
okay.
I am.
That's fine. It happens.
I used to do that as a kid. I used to go out in the backyard with my football, my American football, and announce football games as I acted them out. I was like 6 years old, and my mom would be like, "Stop talking to yourself out there. It's embarrassing." I'm like, nobody knows.
My imagination.
And I'll be honest, people could totally hear me.
Yeah.
And if I walked out into my backyard right now and I heard some kid next door doing that, I would just think it was the cutest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like if I was 13, maybe that would be a little weird. But as a 6-year-old kid,
Yeah.
it's adorable.
I like how if I go this way, it's like a little too dark, but if I go this way, all of a sudden I have Shawshank lighting. Look at that.
You know, for kids.
For kids. It's like
All right.
natural light.
I am Natty Lights.
Natty Lights. Oh boy.
If you go to Dragon Con,
Oh
keep
no.
an eye out for the Natty Lights.
That brings back some memories. Not good ones. A lot of beer. Okay, here we go. Are you out of the... Did you just say you're out of the post?
I am out of the post.
Okay.
I am post.
You're post. Okay, so tomorrow I have to assume everything's going to work fine. Right?
I hope so. Like, where are they going?
They're going to be... Apparently they're supposed to provide a hardline internet connection for our guests to connect.
And the guest knows they need a camera.
Yes.
So that would be the one thing we need to make sure of, I guess.
Yes.
So as long as they've got the hard line and they've got a camera on their laptop, we should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's Jeremy.
Yep.
So it's not... I don't feel like it's like old man something.
No, I don't think you have to do like a walkthrough or anything. But we might want to send him a note, just to make sure you know it's video and you have a camera, right? And you've used Hangouts before, which I'm sure the answer is yes to all of those things. But
and also, I think Andrea is like around if there's a problem.
That's true. Yeah.
That's one of those things. Like I feel like I could. This is one of those things where the other producer in me would excessively pre-produce this situation, and the podcast producer in me says it's probably not necessary. But I would really hate to be wrong.
I would just err on the side of making sure people know, rather than like proving it. But just like as long as they have said, oh yes, I have a camera, yes, I have video, yes, then it's probably going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, we heard from Jeremy before, and then you just sent him that email today, so I feel like it's going to be fine.
Did I mention video? You know, I don't think it would be amiss for a follow-up producer
email.
Like, hey, making sure you don't have any last questions. These are the things we're looking forward. Let me know if you need anything. Sort of almost as an offer of.
Just because it's a conference.
Yeah.
And things are conferencey.
Yep. All right.
And then also still haven't I'll tell you later.
I'm gonna stop the broadcast and then we can.
How about you stop the broadcast?
Not that there's anything really. It's only because it's not that interesting that I'm gonna stop the broadcast. All right. Bye.